Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It's good to have you here. I'm Whitney Ward. Well, are you looking for a free at-home COVID test? The state could soon be able to send you one.
The Washington State Department of Health today announced during today's press briefing they are launching a state portal to order free rapid at-home antigen test kits. KREM 2's Cody Proctor tuned into today's briefing. She is live in the newsroom tonight with more. Cody?
Well, Mark and Whitney, the announcement came one day after the federal government kicked off their at-home COVID test ordering website early. So this gives Washingtonians another source for getting an at-home test. DOH says they'll give each household one kit with 4 to 5 tests in each kit. The department ordered 3.5 million tests for the program and expects to help about 350,000 households across the state in the first week.
However, those tests are coming into us over several weeks, and the portal is dependent on our supply. So while supply chains are improving, they are still strained, and when we are low or out of stock temporarily, you will not be able to order a test.
Once ordered, the test kit is expected to arrive in 1 to 2 weeks. An exact start date for the portal hasn't been set yet, but DOH expects it'll be in the next few days. Now, this announcement comes at a time when getting a test, whether it's an at-home rapid test or PCR test, has been very difficult. Recently, the Meade School District canceled sports practices and games after running out of COVID tests for students. They'd been waiting for a COVID test shipment since December 10th, even offering to go over to Olympia to pick them up and getting a state representative involved to see if they could pick up tests. They finally did get those tests this week, meeting a DOH employee in Moses Lake. And I asked the Department of Health about the delay of tests for Meade. They told me they're aware of the request from the school district. They say there were multiple factors for the delays, including supply shortages, right as Omicron surged and testing demand increased, and winter storms that closed off the passes and caused flooding. The department says they've improved their shipping methods, including adding staff to their warehouse and having limited will call pickup. However, the key word is limited, saying they don't want people showing up at the warehouse since it's not a normal spot for giving out tests. Instead, they want to use their own shipping process to get tests to schools. In the newsroom, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
Cody, thank you very much. Taking a look now at COVID cases in our area. Several hundred new cases were reported today, but that's not the entire story. The Spokane Regional Health District is reporting 526 new cases today. In terms of hospitalizations, there are now 154 people hospitalized in the county. That's an increase of 1 since yesterday.
And despite the rise in cases, the health district gave an encouraging update today on when the state will reach its peak in Omicron cases. The projection from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation is suggesting that Washington could see a peak in cases by January 28th. And that same model says Spokane County could see its peak in the following weeks after that. Those projections can be impacted, though, by a number of different factors, including vaccination and exposure rates. The health officer here in Spokane County, Dr. Frank Velasquez, said that the county usually replicates Western Washington trends about 2 weeks later. He also said Spokane County is seeing fewer COVID-related hospitalizations from Omicron as compared to Delta. Well, last week, Idaho's COVID positivity rate stood at 25%, which is the highest percentage they have seen during this entire pandemic. The state's Department of Health and Welfare director said to keep in mind, though, there's still a backlog of cases.
And as those cases continue to increase, so does the number of healthcare workers who are out because they've contracted COVID or been exposed to it. He also said getting vaccinated is still the best protection from Omicron. And if you do get the virus, the vaccine will help you from getting a more severe case and avoid going to the hospital. The Health and Welfare Director did add that he understands the public's exhaustion as we approach a second year of the pandemic.
I think we're all tired of this. I think all of us, including myself, wish that we weren't having to deal with the pandemic. There have been points during the pandemic where I personally have been really exhausted, and I know that's the same for many of the staff that work here and across the public health districts and certainly in the healthcare settings.
The director also added every day brings new challenges and they are focused on doing the best they can for the community with the information that they have.
ARP is about equity, not equal opportunity, but equitable outcome. That's Executive Order 13985, which is socialism, and when it coupled with tyranny is called communism.
The Coeur d'Alene City Council meeting last night got pretty tense at times. Many people came to speak against accepting American Rescue Plan funds. The council voted 5-1 to accept those funds, though, which some people have been worried may require the city to then enforce mask and vaccine mandates handed down by the federal government. Now, some plans that the Coeur d'Alene Council has for that $8.6 million include expanding the city's police station, as well as making up for revenue lost during the pandemic. The point of the American Rescue Plan was to limit and mitigate the effects of COVID-19, and there are rules that state any groups that accept that money must not use the money then to go against the point of the plan. So if they were to violate that rule, the federal government could potentially force the city to pay the money back. Now, according to one University of Idaho law professor, as long as Coeur d'Alene doesn't use the money to make a rule banning masks or vaccine mandates, he says it should be fine.
I think the official position right now is just that local governments that receive these funds cannot prohibit mask mandates and vaccine mandates in any program that's supported by the funds.
Now, he says there are some areas of the act that are up for interpretation. So coming up tonight at 6, we'll have more on if Coeur d'Alene may be on the hook potentially to pay that money back.
COVID is again making headlines all across the country, and here are the top stories, 3 stories you need to know right now. First, the White House announced today it is helping you upgrade your masks for free starting next week. 400 million N95 masks that are part of the strategic national stockpile will be given away. Here's how it'll work. The masks will be available at pharmacies and community health centers. There is a limit, only 3 per person, and a reminder, these masks don't last as long as cloth masks. Some experts say you can make one last about a week as long as you care for it properly.
Well, the White House also has officially launched its website for you to order your free at-home tests today. covidtest.gov was soft launched yesterday. There were some isolated problems with certain user address verifications, but no significant issues have been reported, and the site does allow you to order up to 4 free tests per household and says they'll ship in about 7 to 12 days. For more information on how to get your free COVID tests or those N95 masks, just text the word FREE to 509-448-2000.
Starbucks is reversing its position on its employee vaccine mandate. Earlier this month, the company said they would require all 226,000 employees to be fully vaccinated by February 9th or face weekly COVID testing. Yesterday, they announced employees they will no longer be enforcing that requirement because of the U.S. Supreme Court ruling striking down the Biden administration's large business vaccine mandate.
So we know that, as always, this has been a lot of information, but you can stay up to date on all of the latest COVID headlines from our website. Just go to krem.com.
All right, taking a live look at SeaTac Airport tonight, where several international flights into the airport had to be canceled today, all because of concerns over the 5G national rollout. That's despite 5G carriers saying yesterday they would limit service within a 2-mile buffer zone around runways, including those at SeaTac. Here's the airline's concern. 5G cell service operates on a radio spectrum that the airlines say could bleed over and interfere with the altimeters, the precise height readings that some jets use to land in bad weather. Port of Seattle leaders have expressed concerns over 5G, saying Puget Sound's notoriously challenging weather and low visibility could make flight disruptions severe.
The FAA lists 17 systems that could be affected, and it says the pilot may not catch those errors in time to maintain safe flight and landing.
The delays near airports is a temporary fix. The FAA and cell phone carriers, which insist 5G is safe, will need to find a solution. Until then, airports like SeaTac say they are watching the situation closely. Spokane Parks and Rec asking people to weigh in now on the next 10 years of the park's development.
Yeah, this is your chance. So the first step is a survey they sent out last year, just asking for public input. This is a breakdown of all the info then the Parks Department got back from that survey. More than 3,500 people ended up completing the survey, and 70% say they want better trash cans, lights, signs, and bathrooms in the public parks. 66% think that the park should be more welcoming and accessible. 76% are pretty happy with how they're maintained. About 50% think the city should buy new land for additional parks, and 70% are on board with changing parts of certain parks to meadows or more natural lands to be more sustainable.
The new master plan is going to break down what Spokane Parks is going to work on for the next 10 years. The last time we had a master plan go out to the community was before the Riverfront Park renovations. Now that huge project is finally complete, Parks Director Garrett Jones says the city wants to work on projects the community cares about. The final plan should be confirmed and adopted by March, the city says. Taking a break from headlines right now to talk weather. Things just kind of gray and gloomy around the inland Northwest. Tom, a lot of us wondering when we'll see the sunshine again.
Well, me too. There's actually a chance we might see it by the weekend, but in the meantime, we've got to track wet weather. Matter of fact, we have a winter weather advisory in effect tonight through tomorrow noontime. Areas north and to the east of Spokane. Those areas are going to see snow. We're going to see rain in the Spokane area and much of that other portions that were not under that advisory. It's 35 right now under cloudy skies. Wind is out of the southeast at 6 miles per hour. You can see the Doppler radar looks pretty darn quiet right now. Forecast calling for the wet weather to move in late tonight, overnight, and through at least about noon tomorrow. We'll look for a high of about 41. So that's why it should be mostly rain in the Spokane area, but snow to the north of us and to the east of us, and of course in the mountains. Talking about sunshine, maybe on Saturday we get partly cloudy skies and a high of 39. I'll check your 7-day forecast coming right up.
I'm now gonna go knock on some doors. Wish me luck.
Well, it is the #1 show on Netflix. Tonight we sit down with the producer, or one of the producers, of Archive 81, who used to live right here in Spokane.